And it was just incredible meeting her. We'll be hearing more from her later about what's happening there affects the rest of the world. But I saw here yesterday what's happening in Egypt. Good morning. Well, you can see it's sunny, breezy here in Egypt today, but across the UK, weather has changed. We are definitely well into autumn. It is cloudy, it is wet. Good morning to you. Now, there's lots of firsts here, but the first one, for the first time ever, they have a youth and pavilion for young people to have their voices heard. And I met one of those young people yesterday, Elizabeth Wathuti, and here's why it's so important for her to be talking here. Old black text roof. I just want to say that Elizabeth flew here, has had the majority of people here, journalists like myself, to be able to tell her stories that wouldn't normally be told. And it's so important for all of us to hear what's happening where she is and why it's so important to all of us. The impact on the environment far outweighed by the flights, which, by the way, are flights for economy, and we offset our flights. But we're able to come to the meetings and to the discussions and to tell the stories. And it's hoped that these stories will help to shape the final text here at COP to make sure that we can limit our warming. There's still a lot of frustration that things haven't been included, so we're going to more meetings and talking to more delegates as we head through the day and bring you more stories tomorrow. In the meantime, here's the weather for the UK. Well, obviously here in Sharm el-Sheikh, the sun is shining, but it's fairly breezy. Back home, the weather is autumnal. It was mild last week, but we're back down to where we...
Egypt, because you look at you, in front of the world, you're on top of the world right there. It's the penultimate day of COP27, and many people, Laura, will say, what is being achieved there? What is it all for, and will it make any difference?
A brilliant question, and I think the big thing is that COPs do make a difference. In 2015, Earth was on track for 4 degrees of warming. We are currently on track for 2.8 degrees of warming. That is nowhere near the 1.5 the scientists say we need to mitigate the very worst impacts on our planet. There is progress being made, but I spoke to Elizabeth Wathuti yesterday, a young activist from Kenya, and she said what progress would be for her. She's already seen the devastating impacts of climate change in Kenya. The responsibility lies to the biggest emitting nations, including the UK. That's why Rishi Sunak came here last week. It's important for him to tackle both climate change and the cost of living crisis. We are all impacted by climate change in Kenya and Africa right now, in the UK, more impacted in the future. And it's really important these negotiations continue so that nobody is left behind. Good morning to you. Yes, so it is Earth here that is the star of the show. Now, weather-wise across the UK, it is wet and windy. It's taken a while for the weather to get a note, but yes, we are in autumn and winter is just...
Good morning, Laura.
Good morning to you. There's a lot of talk about how much Earth is warming, what we want to limit it to. We're currently on track for 3 degrees of warming. We want to limit it to 1.5 degrees to avoid the catastrophic impacts of climate change. We hear that a lot. What does it mean? Why should we care? Well, I want to show you. Alexandria is the second biggest city here in Egypt. It's their... Good morning. So that's why it's so important for us to be here to give these stories and the stark reality of what climate change will mean. We'll have more tomorrow. Now, weather-wise, across the UK, we are finally into autumn in the world of weather. Wet and windy is the name of the game, not just today for the rest. So I'm here next to the world, but I'm in the blue zone. The blue zone is where the delegates are, where the negotiations happen, and it's just worth saying a letter came out just this morning from the president of COP here in Egypt to say time is not on our side. Let us come together to deliver by Friday, so we will bring you the latest tomorrow. But yes, in the UK, torrential rain through southern areas have brought some localised flooding, people stranded in vehicles. The warning is eased and the weather there is drier and brighter. But the outlook elsewhere for the rest of England, particularly the northeast where a warning for rain, is more wet and windy weather to happen. So Wales, southwestern areas, sunny spells and a few showers. Central, northern and eastern areas of England, cloudy, wet and windy. Scotland and Northern Ireland, a misty, foggy start to the day. The fog lifts but staying fairly grey. And a cool one for many of us, highs at best 13.